Welcome to another episode of the Cool Tools Show and Tell. Our special guest this week is Mike Harris. Hey, Mike, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi. I'm Mike. Been doing tech and the internet since actually before the internet. I was on BBSs as a kid, and have always just been kind of intrigued by the way that the internet lets you share brains with everyone else, shares good ideas. It for good or for bad, it's kind of sped up communication and made it more global. And it's had its bad effects, but it's had some pretty groovy effects too. So overall, I'm a pro.
Well, welcome, Mike. I think we can all agree that sharing tools is a really plus in the world. So thank you for taking time to share some tools. Tell us what one of your favorite tools are.
Sure. Well, the first one I thought I'd start off with something simple and pretty familiar. And that is I've got a Fidget cube here. This is actually the original one. Let's get
and
this.
So you're holding up, it's like a square cube, black. It has some buttons on it. It's about the size of, I don't know, a golf ball, let's say approximately in scale.
I'd agree. And it's got various different services. It's, got an indentation here, a light switch kind of thing, almost sort of a joystick, various buttons of various tensile strengths, and so on and so on. But
so there's 6 sides, and each side of this cube has something you can fidget with.
Correct. Yeah. And what I found particularly, a side effect that I found particularly useful is I've recently been diagnosed with ADHD, and which is something I knew for most of my life anyway. But it means I have a lot of nervous energy and sometimes have problems focusing. But I find that if I divert it into fidgeting with this cube while I'm talking otherwise, it sort of kind of frees up my mind to focus. It's an outlet for the energy, but that secondary thing that I don't know if many people have realized is that it does kind of, by giving an exit for the energy, it helps you kind of focus better.
So in addition to using it while you're talking, do you find that you also find it useful while you're working and trying to concentrate?
Definitely. If I'm, of course, if I'm typing or something, I can't quite do both, but it definitely helps me kind of just focus the higher order thinking by providing an outlet for that distraction of the excess energy.
So you mentioned that this black cube was one of the original Fidget toys or devices. Do you find that it makes much difference what it is that you use? There are many kind these days, including the spinners and stuff. So is this one better than other Fidget devices?
In my opinion, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's a matter of taste, but my understanding is the folks at ANTSY, ANTSY Labs were the people to originally come up with the idea. And for me, when I order from them, it's usually kind of durable. It doesn't fall apart as easy. It doesn't, I can kind of make it, I can really kind of give it a workout if I need to without feeling like it's going to fall apart.
And have you tried other varieties of ones from them?
From ANSI, no, but I definitely do have other cubes. There's one that's made out of a sort of a golden brass, which is interesting, and it's all sort of mechanical gears that interact and spin. It's kind of a fidget spinner, but it's also sort of a cube too.
But so in your limited experience in trying these out, you think this black cube one is the best?
Well, it comes in different colors, depending on your preference. But yeah, this original one, I just find it's, if you're going to give these things a workout, you want it to hold up. So.
And what is it called again?
It's The company is ANTSY,
Mm-hmm.
ANTSY, and I believe it's just called a Fidget Cube.
The Fidget Cube. Okay.
Mhm.
I'd not seen one of those. I'd seen the spinners and other little devices, but I hadn't yet seen a cube. So that's pretty nice.
It's kind of if you go to the site, they've even got them for kids in like Superman's colors or Batman and so on and so on.
Excuse me. So Mike, what's another one of your favorite tools these days?
I find that mynoise.net is really an amazing site.
For those who are watching, you'll see it, but for those who are listening, we're at a website and it says My Noise, and there is three categories. Looks like noises or sounds for focus and productivity, meditation and relaxation, and sleeping aids.
In all honesty, this is actually just kind of their best hits. And also, just to correct real quick, it's actually mynoise.net, just so that people wind up on the right website. But I've just clicked through to their index, and to read all of these out, we'd be here a few hours. But
Right, but you have categories like natural noises, landscape noises, ambient noise, like autumn walk, I guess walking through leaves, sounds of crickets, that kind of a thing.
exactly, as well as fantasy backgrounds in case you're, for example, playing D&D
Uh,
or Gregorian chants.
right.
And the thing that I find kind of amazing is that largely on his own, although with some volunteers, this person has mostly gone to various places across the world and done recordings himself with high quality audio equipment. So, for example, I'm clicking right now on something called Japanese Garden, but with almost every single sound machine that you go to, you've got all of these customizations, which must have been an incredible amount of work by this guy. But, for example, if you've got the sound of cicadas, if they're bothering you, you can bring down that slider.
They're
If
all
you've
different
got
tracks. Everything's been recorded on a multi-track.
exactly, you've
And
got
and do you think these are actual recordings, or are these, as you said, these are machines? Are these being generated in some fashion?
my understanding is they're actual recordings, at least if you dig into the bio on the website, there's even photographs of him in certain locations giving the recordings. It's pretty admirable, in my opinion.
And is this for sure like on a loop, or does it automatically loop on, or do they go for a certain length and stop, or how does that work? It's endless. It just runs as long as you want, right?
Exactly. And I've never heard a distinct loop. So if he has it looping, it's pretty well disguised.
Yeah. Well, maybe he has different parts of it looping at different speeds, so you don't notice it. So, well, that's really great. So, what's the economics on this? Is this a subscription? Is it a free trial, or how does this work?
Believe it or not, it's kind of donation based.
Wow.
He's mostly giving it away for free.
Okay.
There are places where you can buy quote credits, and he can, like, for example, provide you with an MP3 of if you have a particular track you like. Just one thing I wanted to kind of note that is kind of particularly nice as an extra is once you get something just the way you like it, you can click on this save as URL, or you can save it as a cookie and bookmark the URL so that you don't have to make the adjustments every time you visit.
Okay, that's cool. And this is a web-based thing, so it's not really a separate app. You would open up your browser on your phone or your desktop to run it. Is that right? Or is there an app version as well?
It is primarily web based, but they do also have an Android app and I think an iPhone app as well.
Okay. That's mynoise.net. So it's sort of like, I guess people would use it instead of listening to music. They'd just sort of put it on while they're working, or sleeping. Is that the idea? Or driving, maybe?
Yeah, the thing that I particularly like is that they've got some synthetic profiles, such as I work in an open plan office, and people like to talk around me a lot, uh, kind of the nature of the biz. But they've got something called ultra wide noise, and it's so loud a white noise spectrum that it pretty much blocks any talking, lets me focus on my work. So uh, there's a lot of different things that kind of can help focus.
Okay. So you use it as a way of helping you to focus. That's really great. Um, are there uh, other similar sites like this? Other kind of music or background sites out, and how does it compare to these others? Have you kind of did you do any research about this for yourself?
Oh, well, yeah, definitely. There's, a large number of people, different places. There's also a lot of what they call single serving websites where, you can maybe go for coffee house sounds or so on. But I kind of find you can tell that this is a passion project for this guy. He really has added a lot of features and various things, and all for free, that you don't find in those websites. And it's also a little bit more completist. It's, kind of one-stop shopping, so to speak, except you don't really have to pay money
Right.
shopping.
Right. Okay. Great. Okay, that's a great find. So, Mike, tell me another one of your tool favorites.
One big thing, and I'm sorry I can't share my screen on it, but Inoreader is it's basically kind of like the old Google Reader site, but on steroids. It's really well done. It's they have
You mean our RSS reader?
exactly, yes.
Okay.
Um, it starts with RSS, but they've also kind of built some technologies that let you monitor web pages that don't have RSS feeds and kind of construct your own.
Mm-hmm.
And also, much like Gmail and other email programs that we've gotten used to, they've got filters and rules that you can apply so that you don't need to necessarily be bothered by, let's say someone you like to follow posts hints for Wordle or something like that
Mm-hmm.
every day, and you're just not interested in those. You can filter them out once and never bother with them again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really I find it helps me keep track of zillions of things, far more than I would have if I had to go to them individually.
Right, right. So, seemed like everybody was using the Google Reader. I migrated to Feedly as my reader. Do you happen to know how that compares to say Feedly?
I did try Feedly for a couple of years, although admittedly it was a long while back, so Feedly may have progressed since then. But I found that Inoreader just had a lot more power tools, so to speak. It just felt a bit more like, if I'm talking emotion, it's kind of felt like it was a lot uh, kind of humming under the hood. It
Okay.
very quick, very responsive, easy to also go through things very quickly.
Uh-huh. Okay. So Inner Reader, and is that a free app, I guess you will call it, or is there a fee involved?
Uh, it is a subscription, but my understanding is it's free as well. It's got a free level. So
Okay.
I guess they call those freemium kind of.
Right.
Um,
Do you
but
know what you,
honestly, it's
do you know what you get out of your paid version?
uh, it's sort of an increased number of feeds of filters and rules. You may be limited to maybe like three rules. And I'm not quoting their page, so I
Right.
might be off. But uh, you know, uh, basically things that are more computationally expensive are kind of saved more and more for the paying people.
So a lot of people are so for some reason abandon reading blogs and RSS feeders. You still find them valuable. Are there particular blogs that you would use as an example of someone that you of a place or resource that you were using this Inoreader for? What are some of your favorite blogs?
Well, your website is on there,
Tools,
as is
okay,
Cool Tools, um, Lifehacker,
okay.
and gosh, I could go on for quite a while, but I also use it to monitor YouTube actually, because YouTube still offers RSS feeds, which is kind of amazing considering everything else. But
So you subscribe to a YouTube channel through an RSS feed.
mhm,
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that.
yeah.
You can subscribe to a YouTube channel with an RSS feed and see it in your reader. Wow, that's interesting. And how is that better than subscribing to them directly through YouTube?
Well, I usually do that too, just so that the algorithm can kind of learn the kind of things I like, just for better recommendations. But honestly, overall, I'm not a real big fan of algorithms telling me what I should see. I kind of want to be a little bit more completist. And
Right.
so for me, RSS feeds let me pick on my own what I find is interesting, rather than having kind of a half-baked guess that isn't always accurate.
So, Mike, tell me about your fourth tool that you like to share.
Sure. And oh, just as a side note with regards to Inoreader, and um, this is just so that I don't forget it. But one of the things I thought was kind of clever of them is they created a way where you can get your email newsletters forwarded into Inoreader.
Mhm.
They've got give you a certain address that you can have them appear to. And again, that kind of idea of having it all in one place. But I also kind of have to applaud the fact that they're trying to innovate. They're kind of thinking about like what can we take forward in this space, and
Okay,
kind of
that's very admirable. So they're innovating, still innovating in this space,
mhm.
and you can have your newsletters forwarded there. That's also very interesting. So I definitely have to check this out. So thank you.
No problem. So yeah, that fourth item, I'll go ahead and share the screen with you. Yeah, these are a few screenshots that I took from the what my fourth choice is. And honestly, this is kind of innovative. It's an app called Periodically. And the idea that the author must have had was for those random events that you really can't schedule, trying to help you schedule them on a routine basis. So, for example, the crack in between my fridge and my stove gets very, very dusty, but I may not routinely
Uh,
do it every Saturday or something like that. So what this does is you basically, for a little bit, record every time you do it, and it starts to actually mathematically figure out how often you're doing it.
okay, very clever. Okay, I get it. Huh. So you input how often you tend to do things, and it will pick up that frequency, that periodicity, and that rhythm, and then schedule it out ahead, saying you normally sweep here every other month, and so therefore you haven't done it in the last 2 months. It's time to do it.
Exactly. As you can see on the screen, it has options for what it calls prediction lateness and interval reminders. And I
Okay.
have to admit, I haven't, it does explain it. There we go. So predictions are the actual prediction date.
Yeah.
Lateness is when it thinks that you should have done this a day or two ago. And I have to admit, the interval, it says it sends a notification a specific number of days after the last occurrence. So I think that's when you know that it's down to perhaps every 10 days or 30 days or so on. That would be the reminder
Sure.
you use.
So yeah, so it's a kind of very sophisticated reminder system that will try to pick up your rhythms from how you actually do things. What are some, besides sweeping the crack between your fridge and stove, what are some of the other examples that you find yourself using this for?
Well, one thing I thought about actually, it's basically only kind of governed by your imagination or your own personal daily life. You know, if you uh, until recently, I had a cat, and I might have used this for when I clipped his nails, because or when we clip our own nails or toenails. Anything that we don't normally do on a set schedule, but that might be a sort of a maintenance task that we know we have to do. This can kind of help make that a routine.
Mm-hmm.
And thus, you might not forget about it quite as easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does seem to have a maintenance flavor to it. You're trying to schedule maintenance type things that may not be top of mind.
Exactly.
I guess you could put all your taxes and when those kind of payments are due.
I think taxes are kind of a little bit more locked in with a certain date, rather than and a certain deadline, rather than kind of floating a little bit ambiguously out there.
Yes.
That would be my reaction, at least.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And so this is, let's say, an Android app. And again, is this a free app? Is it subscription based? How does that work?
I have to admit, I don't have the answer to that particular question. I should have checked it before I came on, but I do. If I remember right, I think it was pay, but it was a slight amount. I don't think it was exorbitant.
Or a one-time payment? You mean just for the app itself rather than a subscription?
Definitely. It definitely was a one-shot deal.
Okay. This is called Periodically. Okay. For things that you do periodically or hope to do periodically. Now's the time to tell us about something you're working on or want to share, have worked on in the past, or something about your own passions that you would like to let us know about.
I have to admit, when I initially filled out the survey, I just kind of wanted to contribute back to the community because
Sure.
I was, I've been following the podcast and the blog for quite a while and been a
Sure.
fan of it.
Well, thank you.
But yeah, no problem. I did when I came on board and realized I was going to do the podcast. I thought now might be the time to actually start up that e-newsletter that I've been thinking about.
Uh-huh.
It's at thinktrove.org, kind of like treasure trove, but
Okay.
thinktrove.org.
Okay.
And
what are
I'm
you
a bit of
doing
a
there?
writer, a bit of a photographer.
This is sort of like what we used to call blogs, but it's a newsletter version of a blog.
Yes, I'm on Substack. They're hosting.
Right.
I'm a bit of a photographer, bit of a writer, and I'm going to be doing pretty large link dumps. I'm all over the internet all the time. So,
Uh-huh.
if you don't have the time to look through all of the internet, but you'd like some clever stuff, I'm probably a good newsletter to check out.
And when you're trolling through the internet, grabbing little goodies, what do you tend to gravitate to?
Generally, it's things that I are kind of bizarre, but that I never knew before,
Mm-hmm.
or occasionally it's cute things. I'm a big fan of cats, of course, like about 90% of the human race. I found out, for example, the other day that, believe it or not, humans have stripes. They're just in a range that we can't normally see, but I believe our cats can. And there's actually a disease where it's a rare one, but where people's stripes actually become in a visible range.
Let's see.
Uh,
Where are my stripes? Which direction are my stripes likely going?
well, the photographs I saw were on the back, and there are many different patterns. One was, believe it or not, actually a checkerboard kind of a deal.
I am totally skeptical.
I'll forward you the links. I would have been skeptical too, but it's actually pretty darn interesting.
Okay. All right.
Definitely outside of our experience, but it seems to be legitimate.
Yeah. Um,
I try not to. I do try to be skeptical. I'm not one of the eat the onion kind of peoples, where you believe it.
yeah.
I don't believe things easily, but this one,
Okay.
weird enough, is true.
All righty. Well, we'll definitely check it out, and we'll maybe check your newsletter of you were calling it ThinkTrove.
Yes, sir. .org.
Okay.
The .com was $3,500. So
It doesn't matter because nobody types them anyway.
yes.
Well, Mike, thanks. I really appreciate your taking time to share with us these really unconventional and interesting tools. Thank you for volunteering and for being a supporter of the site. I really appreciate it. And it's been a lot of fun. And thank you.
Same here. I was glad to have the opportunity to give back a little bit.
Sure. We appreciate it. This year, our Cool Tools blog will be 20 years old, which means we've been posting something new every day for 20 years. It's only possible because of the very engaged and knowledgeable readers and listeners like yourself. You've kept this place going, and we are very grateful for you. With this idea of 20 years in mind, we decided to try an experiment this year, and I'm inviting our guests and listeners to join me on our Cool Tool Show and Tell, which is the program that you're listening to right now. So if you feel you'd make a good guest on this podcast and have 4 uncommon tools that you'd like to share with us, please sign up on our form on the website, and we'll see about inviting you. You must be comfortable talking on a video, and you need to have some tools that you can show. We record on, as you know, on Zoom. We do a YouTube version, a video version of it, as well as an audible version. Fill out the form if you're interested, and list your 4 cool tools, and we'll see if there's a good fit. The applications aren't guaranteed in any way, and we're looking at tools that are new to us and appropriate tools, and whether the times will work for you. So we're really interested in hearing from people all over the world, not just in the US, although the tools have to be available online, easily available online. And if you are a longtime listener, you kind of know what the definition of our tools are. They're very broad. They can be anything that's handy, from something in the kitchen to something you use to travel, to a workshop, to something professional that we may not know about. We're really interested in things that we don't know anything about. So this is an open invitation. We'll give it a try. If you think you make a good guest for this podcast, fill out the form. There'll be a link somewhere on our website. And we look forward to chatting with you. Thank you.